Yeah.
Hari Om. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhe Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om. Yes. Can someone recollect what is it that we've seen last? We form the link so we can quickly move ahead. Yes, please. Anybody? Yes, Chaitanya ji? Yes, please.
Yes, sure. So yesterday, Krishna started saying with that cloak of ignorance prevents the realization. It prevents you from getting to that higher knowledge. That knowledge which is like a bright sun, and it basically removes all your darkness within you. Enlightenments understand that that sensual things are short-lived, and that's why they don't run behind the don't run behind them, and they don't run behind the stimuli of their indriyas. They understand that part. Uh, they also focus on themselves and on divine, and then they travels into a state from where they normally don't return. We can say that they kind of get into a Brahma Nirvana, a state of Brahma Nirvana within, and they spread that their aura and light and knowledge to other people also. The
Ji.
samatha bhav that was highlighted by Shri Krishna, that it is very important. So enlightenments always have that samatha bhav. They see oneness in all. There is no, they don't, there is no divide that they look at. And then, yeah, we also talked about the realization that it can be achieved in this very life. Yeah, we don't have to wait for another other births to for that to happen, and you can get that Akshaya Ananda, which is not like short-lived like other things. So, and when we once we reach that state, we understand that. I mean, normally these people don't rejoice a lot when they get good things, or they don't become very sad when they don't get what was needed. So that is how, I mean, that is how they are, and they probably the one of the important things that a person is going to need to reach to that higher consciousness is that he should be able to control that the anger and desires. So those things, if one is able to control, then he is going to walk ahead on that path.
Ji, ji. Absolutely, Chaitanya ji. So, this was exactly what Krishna is saying, that yes, this is a need to Arjuna, because right now Arjuna is in the flux of his emotions which probably were important for him. So that is why he is still holding on to them. But holding on to them is not giving him a solution right now. His emotions have completely overwhelmed him. He's become numb. He's feeling depressed. He's feeling sad because things are not going his way right now. And Krishna is slowly trying to take him to a higher state of consciousness, talking about those munis who have attained the Brahma Nirvana. And he says, see, these people, they radiate an aura of light which spreads in all directions wherever they go. And I think just as I think Karthikji shared one of his experiences from a meeting, or this is something which we have experienced. Sometimes some people come into our home and a sea of peace comes into our house along with the arrival of that individual. We clearly can understand from the indication that yes, this person has reached a state of consciousness. And sometimes opposite of peace, this person came and aap aaye or tufan aaya. That kind of feeling comes in, like suddenly a full storm has entered into the house, creating a disturbance as well. So this aspect of cultivating aura, Krishna says these great yogis understood the need for dhyana. Dhyana is a way for connecting with what? With the higher consciousness. And he says these yogis understood. They understood the limitations of the senses. They understood the limitations and the problems of just holding on to emotions all the time. And said these happinesses which people look for by sensual means, don't give them that satisfaction. So that is why sometimes, despite going again and again, searching for the happiness, that search never ends because they keep trying. It's like sometimes momentary happiness comes, and for that they take all their efforts to get that one moment of happiness. But immediately the heart feels empty after that, and a person is not able to understand, what do I do now? What did I do wrong? Well, the path was only wrong, so the destination will be wrong, isn't it? So the path has to be right, and the yogis say, let us move towards the higher consciousness. So they use certain techniques. In the next shloka, that is the 27th shloka, Krishna gives us one technique. It's actually a blink and a miss technique. You'll miss it in a moment. That is how fast it is in one shloka. Casually, Krishna has introduced it. Let us look at the 27th shloka of the 5th adhyaya. Sparshan krutva bahirbahyans chakshashchaivan bhruvoho prana panau samau krutva nasabhyantara charinau. Shunning all external touches, they concentrate. Focusing at the center, the brood madhye, focusing at the center between eyebrows, they meditate. Controlling the life force, entering and leaving the nostril. Just a moment. Yes, all right. Yes, this is the one. Controlling the life force, entering and leaving the nostril. Their inhalation and exhalation, they equalize by their will. Prana and the apana. Even that is made sama. Prana apano samau krutva. The inhalation duration for inhalation and the duration for exhalation. And not just the time, the nature also of the breath, meaning they're becoming conscious of this. Anybody has heard of this pranayama? If yes, can someone say something about it? Then we'll go into this technique, and if possible, we will practice for a moment, for maybe at least a couple of minutes, this particular technique. But before that, just getting a background about it. Yes, pranayam has, yes, Renuji. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
pranayama is a breathing technique which we
Okay,
practice. It is a part of Ashtanga Yoga in
it's one
Patanjali.
of the Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, isn't it?
Yes.
Uh, what is the, if they ask why do this, why should we do it? Anyone or Renuji, why do you think it should be done?
What I know is Nari Shodhan. If we
Nadi
have,
Shodhan.
yes,
Okay, please go on.
yes,
So,
the breathing technique, when we master the breathing technique through pranayama, there are certain defects which are there in the body gets removed. The prana is the energy. The energy field in the body gets balanced.
all right. So the energy field in the body gets balanced, but sometimes it's very difficult to, quantifically measure it, isn't it, Renuji?
Yes, Bhaiya.
So we do not have this any instrument to actually tell us the chalo, this chakra has awakened, this has happened, that has happened. No. But why not look at the outer aspects also? Even the outer aspects, we have certain benefits. There's a beautiful shloka which says pranayama di yogena sarva roga samuchayet. When done properly, all the rogues also can get cured. Somebody who has done an experienced pranayam is someone who can actually understand its benefits. Again, ayukta abhyasa yogena sarva roga samadbhava. When it's done not properly, you're also inviting diseases. So it needs to be done properly. And I think Renuji talked about one particular, what we say, nadi shuddhi, or we can call it the anulom vilom pranayam, isn't it, Ji? This pranayam is the ayam of the prana. Prana is the life force, the vayu that is keeping us alive. The prana and the apana, inhalation and exhalation takes place. And it is because of this that we are alive. But this is also one of the actions that we are doing or we are not doing, and it's happening involuntarily. Anybody? The prana and the apana, because here in this yoga, in this shlok, it's talking about making it sama. Yes, Renuji.
Yes, it's an involuntary action. We are not conscious about it.
All
It's
right.
just,
It's a small action. It's a very simple and small action, isn't it, Renuji?
yes, while we are speaking also, the process is on.
It's on, it's on.
Yes.
What if this action stops?
No life.
No life. Gata prana. The prana has left. Means you see, a simple small action is actually keeping us alive. Our entire life, our dreams, our aspirations, our entire bonds with this Srishti is connected with this one simple action for which we are doing nothing. We are doing nothing for the pranayam, for our prana, isn't it? But it is keeping us alive. So maybe at least for that reason, at least let us dedicate some time to consciously work on the prana. And pranayam is about that. And among those techniques, one is the Anulom Vilom. When Damliji had actually, I actually went to Damliji basically because I was having sinus troubles. And I thought I'm going to UK and there's one uncle who knows pranayam. I'll go and learn from him. That was all that I knew about Damliji. And that is how I connected with him and then started living with him. It's a different story. But while he was talking about this Anulom Vilom, he said there are two nadis. One is the Chandra, Ida, Pingala. One is the Chandra, other is the Surya. So these nadis are active always. But when you breathe out, if everybody can just keep a finger under your nose and exhale, can you just try that? Which nostril is active? Anybody? If you can just share, it may be right, it may be left, but which is
The
active
right
for you?
nostril. Right
Okay,
nostril.
for Renuji, it is right. Anybody feels the left?
Yes, sir. Left.
For me, it is
Left.
left.
Ruchiji? For Ruchiji,
Left
it is the
for
left.
me.
Okay, Manisha ji also is left. Okay, so either right or left. One of the nostrils is active. So we have two nostrils, but only one is active all the time. Well, it is said that the yogi who is conscious of this with right efforts, with regular sadhana, with regular pranayam, anulom vilom, and even, Lele Guruji had asked Sri Aurobindo to do pranayam and he would do pranayam for several hours in a day. That was crazy. And it is said that various siddhis also came as natural consequence of it. But when we become conscious, especially the Anulom Vilom Pranayam, it is possible to have both these nostrils activated. And for a yogi, both these nostrils are active at the same time. That is something which is very special. Otherwise, always one nostril. And I think we have also experienced it when we were young also. You would tell Ma, I'm not able to breathe because of my nose. I am having a stuffed nose. It's a better turn other side and sleep. The other nostril will take care because one is enough. But what if both? The amount of freshness in the day, that will increase a lot. And that is also one more reason. Means if you want to see, forget the spiritual reason, forget the aspect of inner dimension or inner world, which we are not able to quantifically measure also. But outer aspect also, it's like you're recharging yourself, experiencing a very absolutely different experience. Imagine a fresh experience in a day. And that is probably one more reason why we can think about it. And look at Krishna. Where is he advising? Arjuna came to a yoga varga for Krishna. No, he's in the middle of the battlefield. But our boss is explaining the importance of dhyana and he says, Chalo, this was the technique his yogis use. So let us look at the technique now and we'll have a 2-minute trial of that technique and then probably move ahead. Okay, so the first one, I'll just read out the shloka. Sparshan krutva bahir bahyan chakshush chaivan tare bhruvo ho. Pranapano samokrutva nasabhyantara charinam. Shunning all external touches. They, who are they? Those who have attained that Brahma Nirvana. Means he is giving the technique of not just anybody, not Tom, Dick, Harry, it is the master. He is giving the technique of the masters who have attained high consciousness. He says, shunning all external touches, they concentrate. Focusing on the center between eyebrows, they meditate. Controlling the life force, entering and leaving the nostril, their inhalation and exhalation. They equalize by their will. So, equalizing the inhalation and the exhalation. It may vary for an individual. Someone with a very good lung capacity will take more inhalation time for inhalation. Someone who may not have that capacity will take a lesser time. It doesn't matter. But equalize. There is some need behind it. Whatever may be the reason, let us why not experienced it rather than here. We don't have to give auto suggestions. Oh, this will happen now. This particular chakra will start revolving at 1 RPM and all. We don't need to know all of it. Let it happen. Let the Jagruti happen on its own. Let's not try to artificially induce it. Instead, let us focus on the Kriya. Focusing on the karma is sufficient. So now I'll just, for 2 minutes, let us all try to meditate. Uh, it is simple. Broar Madhye, where we use the tilak or the bindi, where we put that point. Focusing on that point between the eyebrows, your inhalation and your exhalation, you equalize, meaning how much time you inhale, same time you exhale. If it is 2 seconds, it's 2 seconds inhalation, 2 second exhalation. If it's three, it's three. And if you want, you can couple it with a mantra on the inside. So so is for inhalation, is for exhalation. But whatever it is, I'll say Hari Om and then we'll start meditating for exactly 2 minutes. Just focus on the inhalation and exhalation, nothing else, shunning all external touches, meaning for next 2 minutes, there is nobody else in the world. Of course, if there's a fire in the house, you can run. But otherwise, unless there is such serious situation, if there is milk which is boiling or anything, I think you can turn it off for 2 minutes and then resume that. But all other actions, many times while doing pranayama, you suddenly feel somebody is calling you. No, nobody is calling you right now. Or you feel like scratching somewhere. No, I have to scratch. No, for 2 minutes, all bahya touches we are going to forget and try to connect with something which is X, Y, Z, whatever we want to call it. But now we are focusing on the kriya of equalizing the breath, inhalation and exhalation. So 2 seconds or 3 seconds, but same. And try as much as you can, focusing at this point between the eyebrows. All right, let us begin. Hari Om. Just one more minute. Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, so actually, generally, pranayam is to be done regularly, or dhyana has to be done regularly for getting the experience. Even water, I think you have to boil continuously for 2 minutes, then only it starts boiling, isn't it? So it is difficult to get experience on the first time, but now this 2 minutes meditation that we did, anybody would like to share your experience of doing it in just this 2 minutes? This technique, which is because it's a Krishna's technique, which is talked about. Did it have any effect? Because Krishna's words are sometimes he has one word has 100 meanings, or he teaches one thing with another intention of us learning multiple things. So just these 2 minutes also, did it have any effect? Anybody?
Yes, could feel the vibration and the pressure here.
Okay, you could feel the pressure there. And as far as the breathing, you were able to control the breathing.
Yes,
And
yes.
and what about the thoughts?
No any thoughts.
No thoughts. Arey wow, nirvikalpa. Okay, fine. All right. Ji. Okay, Renuji. Yes, Karthik ji, you would like to share?
Yeah, so I have been doing these breathing exercises, but
Yes.
not specifically this.
Okay.
I usually breathe in through one nostril and breathe out through the other.
Yeah, the Anulom
So
Vilom Pranayam.
yes.
Yes.
So what I have experienced is like even now today,
Hmm.
the initial experience is that, of course, the thoughts, it takes a while for the thoughts to clear. You
Hmm.
still have a lot of thoughts that rush in. At the same time, you also feel a sense of calmness that you can actually hear your heartbeat, and you can also hear it slow down over as you progress in your.
Slow down, isn't time is slowing, it seems, isn't it?
Yes.
When you become conscious, you're suddenly able to detach from the flux of activity. And you do not know sometimes when you go into the light, sometimes you don't know is it 2 minutes, or sometimes people wonder is it 2 hours also, because they go into that state. Yes, and it's quite easy, isn't it, Karthik? That way,
It
this
is.
technique,
It is.
it just needs to be done. Yes, you were saying something, sir?
No, it's just that it brings so much clarity. I mean, scientifically, obviously, because you're taking in so much of um, oxygen into
Inputs.
your brain.
Yeah,
Into
yes,
your
yes,
brain, it actually calms you down and helps you think. Brings
yes,
in
yes.
clarity.
Yes, so you are now conscious of the very action that is keeping you alive. You're paying a little what we call runa, or a small debt to this, because we are alive because of our breathing. So chalo, let us, become conscious of this process for a small period of time. And one more, by shutting all external touches, it's like we get unnecessary input, isn't it? From outside all the time. So many inputs keep coming all the time, and sometimes too much of input is also an issue. Nowadays, that is the problem. Continuous stimulation of data everywhere. I first heard this term garbage data when I was talking to some scientists. We were doing a research paper, and these are data scientists. So that we'll have to do the cleaning of the, otherwise it will be only garbage data. I was very surprised. What is this garbage data? And he said, yes, too much information. We have to sort it out, because what is required, what is not required. Just having all of it will create a problem. Many times in our life, also, same things happen. We don't realize it. So when we go here into the dhyana, we can actually get into that experience, the clarity of mind. What they say, Sat, Asat, Vivek, Buddhi. It is connected with what they call the Sushumna, and that is where Renuji pointed out, isn't it? This sthana, that is the sthana of the Sushumna. So, what is your ability to discriminate between right and wrong? And I think this is the greatest superpower if you have in life. It's enough, isn't it? Whatever moment comes, I am able to see what is right and what is wrong and take the right decision. All right, consequences, it's not in our hand. But at least being able to take the right decision will give you no regrets, also, isn't it? Your heart is free. I did the best. At least I tried, even if it doesn't, at least I did what is right. How much satisfaction that gives. Well, this aspect of awakening, this Sat Asat Vivek Buddhi, can be done with this pranayam, and that is why. And if Krishna advocates it, there may be more than one reason for it. Right now, he is telling Arjuna for controlling his emotions. Personally, this technique helped me once when I felt absolutely betrayed by my friend. A very dear and close friend had betrayed me, and I felt it was not betrayal, of course. It is the emotional being of us which feels this. So that friend did what the friend wanted to do. Should not be best, because it's not what I wanted. I shouldn't call it betrayal. But I was very disturbed. I was like, what is this? Why? There was no reason for all of this. I'm always around for that friend to let to know anything. Why did this friend do such a thing? And what is the meaning of this? And then sometimes when we are hurt, we are angry with the world also, isn't it? Like, what is this? Why are people behaving this way? And for somewhere, this samatha aspect which was there, that was disturbed. And this happened right before I go to sleep. Some very important part of my life is sleeping. And just before sleeping, I got this bad news from a friend. It was an unexpected corner. A similar news had come from other places, which I would understand. But it was like a YouTube Brutus moment for me. How do I deal with it? I was not able to go to sleep without, and that frustration, the anger, and not able to understand. I was like, what is this? Rishwat, what Gita are you reading was the question I was asking myself also. Why you are not able to understand this? What is the meaning? And I was not understanding the solution. So sometimes you don't get an immediate solution to a problem, and a problem appears too big. So then what do? You turn to the divine, turn to your Aradhya. I didn't want to disturb my guru late in the night and it felt it was a trivial matter to disturb my guru. But I wanted a solution also because I want to ultimately I like sleeping. So I have to whatever little time I get, I should sleep properly. So I want to go to sleep. What do I do? Well, there was a big photo of Mother Shri Aurobindo. I just turned towards that and remembered this particular shloka. Chalo, prana, pano, samau krutva. Forget everything else. You won't believe it took me half an hour to breathe, to go into this samakrutva, the balance, the quietude, because my breathing changed according to my thoughts. I was like, and more I'm trying to silence more, but this is not right. This was like a yuddha going on. But half an hour, I do not know how that half an hour went. And when I got out of it, it was like, what is this? Ravan has become Rama or what? Suddenly opposite change. Absolutely means world has not changed. Perspective has just changed so much that it doesn't make it. It's all right. What a person has to do is what, even if it is wrong, even if it is against the spirit of friendship, even if you feel this is backstabbing, it's all right. That person has chosen that path. Can I force anybody else to walk on a different? I have to accept this reality and move on. But it took me half an hour. But after that, I went very happily to sleep. And the next day, the experience I got was a very beautiful one. And it was very essential that I got calm. And a very big direction opened up. It's like sometimes one thing happens and another thing happens at the same time. If you become conscious, you'll receive the light also in a moment of darkness. And that is exactly what I feel this technique is. If you want to take a big decision, it is never to be taken in a state of emotion, isn't it? Because any decision taken in a state of emotion is likely to be a wrong decision. 99% of the time, it's a wrong decision. Any decision taken emotionally. So to control your emotions, forget the other inner aspects, whatever aspects are there. But for this purpose, and let us get into a habit. And I'll come to you, Renuji, in a moment. We did a 2-minute practice, isn't it? But Krishna has not said do it only for 2 minutes. For some reason, in one batch, they started calling it 2-minute meditation. And one person was practicing 2-minute meditation regularly for a year and then told me I am doing 2-minute meditation every day. I said, I do not know why it's 2 minutes. It can be 20 minutes, it can be 15 minutes. No, but I get quite busy. And I was a little curious. So I asked, sir, did you get any experience? The person said yes. Even that 2-minute meditation which the person was spending every day with sincerity, that was giving an experience. And that is sufficient. That's for us, for an individual, it is the experience that needs to be got. But I feel at least a little bit more time can be taken. But I will not give the time because Krishna has not told the time. Let us follow our Swadharma and choose our own time. It does not matter. But this aspect, I'll just repeat once more and then we'll go to Renuji, that all external touches you are going to forget. Nobody is going to call you. If you are going to tell your spouse, I'm out of network for next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, unless there is some big issue or earthquake happening, you please come and tell me in such situations. Otherwise, do not disturb me. All my other works, I have 500 incomplete projects, but they are in another world, not right now in my meditation world. These projects are to be forgotten and focus on the Kriya of breathing only, Prana and Apana. Equalize that and that is it. That is the way we go ahead. Thoughts? I don't think we should give too much thought about our thoughts also. They'll come, they'll go. Focus on the Kriya, automatically the thoughts will slowly disappear. Yes, Renuji, you were saying something.
Yes, I would like to share an information. Have you read that book, Spiritual Anatomy by Kamlesh D. Patel?
Acha, I'll probably have to look at it. Yes, see. Okay.
Yes. That's a wonderful book, Spiritual Anatomy, which you are right now speaking about thoughts also, cleaning also.
जी
how
जी
to clean the clutter in your brain. So
yes.
that was my suggestion.
Yes, yes. And that is why the cleansing, this Atma Shuddhi is what it is told. The action of the sadhana of the yogi is for Atma Shuddhi. Why are they dirty or is Atma dirty? No, it is not that. But from outside, what we say, even the best clothes they get dirty, isn't it? When we go around with them in the world. It is the same thing. That is why the yogis use this. So we looked at one technique of dhyana. Let us go on. There's one more technique only, and we'll see if Arjuna wants to hear it also. That's also a question right now, what other Arjuna wants it, but no matter Arjuna or not, we definitely can take the most of this particular technique. Krishna goes on, he says, Yatendriya mano buddhi munir moksha parayanaha vigate cha bhaya krodho yaha sada mukta eva saha. So sada mukta, always free, always free. That is a beautiful experience. Free from Karmabandhana. Not that that person is not doing any work. I just want to be free. There are songs where people sing, I want freedom. Or there were children, हमें चाहिए आजादी, लेके रहेंगे आजादी. What आजादी? What is the आजादी that you want? From where? You want आजादी from exams? You want आजादी from what? And what is the meaning? Well, sometimes we need to know what is real freedom also. And who is going to teach us? Not somebody else, not someone's philosophy, not someone's brainwashing, or somebody else who should tell, or just because it's written in a book. We have to realize it, we have to experience it. And these yogis were there, were in that state of freedom. They are called yatis. Let us see. The sages who are the seekers of liberation, they assert a control over their mind and intellect. All senses, anger or wrath, can cause them no interruption, for they have attained complete freedom in every respect. Even anger does not generate for wrong also. Frustration inside, because anger, kama, krodho bhi jayate, isn't it? A desire was there, a desire for one thing. That is also a desire only. And that is leading to anger. I saw with my own eyes, I saw a person, a yogi only I will call it, because maybe outer garb is not that of a yogi. I saw that person's children insult him so badly in front of him. They were taking all his objects just to trigger him, just to irritate. I mean, who will do this? Even to an enemy, it should not be done. And here are children whom the person loves so much, whom a person has raised with so much love, and so many years of what many people say investment. No, if an investment is there, then you are looking for returns, isn't it? Your children are not your investments that you are investing in market. You are doing your duty. And this person had done everything sincerely, and still children are back at trying to trigger him and show that see like this. But that person was a Shanti Sagar, quiet and blissful. Everything, they were taking everything from him in front of him. And I was able to see that, and I was actually helplessly watching and not knowing, Arey, what is this? कितना बदल गया है इंसान हे भगवान क्या हो गया है इस सृष्टि का what is happening but that's all I was able to do. I forget me because I am not directly, I have not raised those children, those kids. The person who is likely to be most upset would be the one who is directly involved, isn't it? But the person is free. He said, as they wish, as Krishna says in the Gita also, he gives the freedom to Arjuna to choose. He's not ordering Arjuna, isn't it? Arjuna, I decree that you must obey me. I will talk to you everything later. I'll give you the realization. I'll awaken your Kundalini also afterwards, but first I order you to do this. No, Krishna is giving that freedom. But here, this person was not getting disturbed because I can conclude that this person has reached that state of consciousness or he is free. No wrath, no anger, nothing is causing an interruption in the flow. All right, it is not nice. Fine. It's not something which you're not supposed to appreciate that which is not good at all. The Gita is not saying that, but it's asking you not to get disturbed on the conscious level. Consciousness should remain, then get the experiences which are what are worthy, absolutely Shrestha experiences. Krishna goes on. He says, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrudam sarvabhutanam nyatva mam shanti mrchati. So, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. We have heard about everything being a Yajna, isn't it? Brahma Arpanam Brahma Havir Brahma Agno Brahmana Hutam Brahmaivatan Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhana. All is going, all these sacrifices, all these offerings are going as part of the Yajna to one source. What is that source? Here in the Shloka, Krishna has clearly said, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. I am that Maheshwar present in all the loka, who is the Maheshwar of all the lokas, who is also present everywhere. And all these sacrifices are reaching me, is what Krishna. So another clear indication that all your sacrifices, all your offerings, they're going to one source. Maybe we are offering with this name here, another is offering with another name there, but they are going to that same source. And that's what we see here. Krishna is saying this bhed will disappear, the divide will disappear, and how does it feel if you give something to your loved one and that loved one receives it? When you realize that the loved one is receiving it, how do you feel? Anybody? I made something for you. You say this to someone, and then that person takes it. You feel that the person is receiving that. You're actually losing that object. No, it was in your possession. You have already given it. But when that person is receiving it, the person whom you have this such feelings for, and that person is receiving it with that love and respect, how does it feel for you?
The heart expands.
Okay, Renuji says the heart expands. All right. Manisha ji, you were saying?
Happiness. Very happy.
Happiness. But you don't feel bad about losing what is not in your hand, isn't it? Array, it has gone to whom? To the one I love. It has gone there. How beautiful is it? Absolutely something like that. The yogis also feel, no, swaha, their attachments, they're offering. They're not discarding their attachments. It's an offering. An offering is always made with love, isn't it? And what do you offer? What did Shabri offer Sri Rama? Somebody else will say a half-eaten bear. No, it was love. It was selected, most precious in the forest. Where will this old lady find anything to give worthy of Sri Rama? And she has been pining for the weight of Sri Rama. Her guru had told, old lady, protect your body. The advice was given by her guru that Rama will come. So here alone, she's every day she's ready. Yes, yes, when my Rama will come, I will give him this. Then when she sees, it was like her guru had told, Tavad Raksha Kalevaram. He's calling the body, Kalevar, keep it protected till that time. Till that time he comes. Protect your body. Tavad Raksha Kalevaram Drishtva Raghavam Deham Tadva Yasasi Tat Padam. After the darshana, you will reach the highest stage. And didn't this lady in the forest, no social media following, no personal publications to be cited later on, is now remembered after so many centuries also, thousands of years later, by her actions and by her darshana, what darshana she got, and by her bhakti also. And when she saw Sri Rama, she was so happy. She was like, Tathaiva Karavam Rama Tvadyanaika Parayana Pratiksha Gamanam Tevya Safalam Guru Bhashitam. My words of the Guru have come true. What great happiness. Guru's words also have come true. My Aradhya also has come. I am seeing you, Sri Rama. My fate is over. And she offered those bear. And Sri Rama was Maryada Purushottama, who followed so many rules, so many, what we call shaucha and so many other things. He would not do this, he would do so specific in his sadhana. Great austerity he was practicing. But for Shabri, he said, yes, Lakshmana was surprised. Hanuman felt, oh no, what is this? What is she giving to my Sri Rama? But for Sri Rama, it was a perfect offering because it was with love and it was received. And that is what Krishna is telling. Bhoktaram यज्ञ तपसाम सर्वलोक महेश्वर all yajnas सारे रास्ते वापस वहीं जा रहे हैं. All are going to that one destination. Krishna says, when to man this singular truth is known, that all sacrifices I receive with joy, for they are my own, and he shall perceive me as his dearest loving friend. He shall then experience my perfect peace that has no end. Surudam sarvabhutanam gnatva mam shantim ichhati. Bhagwan hamara mitra hai, this experience or this realization comes. God is my friend. This feeling comes when you realize that all your sacrifices are going there. And Krishna says the peace that ensues afterwards, that has no end. Let us continue. Krishna goes on. We enter the 6th adhyay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. अनाश्रितः कर्म फलम कार्यम कर्म करोति यः स सन्यासी च योगी च निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः. He who dutifully works without desire, him the expectations of fruits cannot cage, and he is said to be the sannyasi, the real sage, not he who renounces actions and kindles not the sacrificial fire. The one who is not even lighting the Agni, not even taking the effort to light the Agni, what will he realize? Where is that person called a sannyasi who is not doing any karma at all? One of Damlaji's students had taken sannyas, and he got a new name after sannyas. And he introduced himself as this. And he had worked closely with Damlaji. They would go, they would teach in so many places, so much effort, so many schools, so many places, walking together in the sun and meeting different people. All that work was going on, and he was with him. And now he's taking up sannyas. So Damlaji just asked a question. Online, he connected with Damlaji and sent a message. And so Damlaji just asked, Karma sannyas nasti kila? You haven't taken karma sannyas, isn't it? There was no response, silence. I do not know, maybe he felt, but we can only assume because I was there. I just saw silence, no response. And then afterwards, he started sharing how he is taking classes even after sannyas. He's teaching people things. He's going on. Means that aspect should not be lost. That's an important aspect which Krishna is saying. And he says, somebody who is working without desire, you cannot be trapped by expectations. Nobody can trap you with expectations. Because, when you have expectations, you are vulnerable. You are most vulnerable because of your expectations only. And which is the biggest weapon you can give your enemy? By letting him know of your expectations or her know of your expectations. That is it. You have shown your weak point. This is this person's expectations. When that expectation, a person can, if the person is an enemy, the person will absolutely manipulate completely, holding on to your expectation. But if the person is guru, that person, guru will burn that expectation only. Because that is the way you will become free. Many times, you will see in workplaces also. You will get a next board meeting is going to take place. I will recommend your name in the next month's board meeting. So you work a little harder, okay? I think I'm appreciating what work you're doing, but I want to recommend you and I will talk about the appraisal also. This is a very common dialogue most managers and team leaders tell. Now, whether or not meeting is taking place, nobody knows. But this dialogue is told. The person who is driven will say, I'll come on Saturday also. No problem. I'll work on Saturday also. It's okay. Sunday, a little bit difficult. But if you ask me, I'll come on Sunday also. What has happened here? This person is not working for learning or growing or doing it as a duty. This person is doing it for the appraisal that has to come. But the problem is, he is not God who is giving him appraisal, isn't it? Appraisal comes with your works and karma. Your action should be connected with that, not with the only act of getting appraisal. Because I know of one person who felt so betrayed that he used swear words at his employer. Now that person has done what he had to. He wanted to work to go ahead, and he utilized this person's swartha. He also had a swartha. We will not say a very beautiful relation here, but he got his work done. But this person, because of the swear word, he lost his job. And then he had a difficult time finding a job again. So what has happened again? Nothing. The person who got trapped with the desire and expectation was the loser ultimately. The other person continued. Maybe his karmas will teach him not to manipulate people. Later on, a time will come where he will understand or realize. But immediately, the biggest loser right now is the one who is having expectations. And that is why Krishna is saying, see, these yogis understood. They understood, I'm not going to be trapped by. No expectation will bind me. I'm a free spirit. Nobody can trap me like that. And he is the sannyasi who is dutifully working, not somebody who has not even lit that fire. The Agni has not been lit. How will a person ever become free? It's like, I'm going to retire. before starting my career. I need to start my career and then I can retire. Before starting, how can I say, yes, it's time. Like a great cricket player said, Sachin Tendulkar is retiring. So I also, yes, I'm also retiring. How can that make a difference? This person has done some work in his field and he can retire, not somebody who's never done any work. This aspect, sannyas, real meaning of sannyas is dutifully working without desire, is what Krishna is very clearly explaining. Yet Arjuna will ask again in the 18th Adhyaya also, because this is an aspect which has to be understood completely in Sukshma. Goes on further. Yam sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kashchana. This, O Arjuna, is what they call renunciation, the true state of yoga, the integral union. He is not a yogi who has renounced not desire, not the one whose mind yearns for objects to acquire. This is the real meaning of Sanyasi Arjuna. Remember, is what he is saying. This true state of this oneness. What is yoga? Well, Yogeshwara is only telling. Yogeshwara Krishna is explaining. Who else can be the authority? He says, he is not a yogi who has not renounced desire. If you are still filled with your desires, you cannot call yourself a yogi, Krishna is saying. Because why? Your mind is running after desire. It's like a monkey jumping from one branch to another. Today this branch, next branch, another place. No trupti at all. Where is this a yogi? Where is this a sannyasi? This is bhogi who is lost. When you are free, you are so free you don't understand the difference also. What is yogi, what is bhogi? Shiva has talked about that. Janma janma chaha yogi, sansari ananda bhogi. This yogi is a yogi of several births and still experiencing the ananda in the sansara also. But for that, the desire has to be transcended. You cannot be fluctuating like that. That's what Krishna is talking about. And he goes on further. It's a difficult path. That is why it's not so easy also. Spiritual path requires some determination, a grit. But the path is open for all. Not everybody chooses to walk there because of their desires only. And it's difficult to overcome it. But it's not impossible. And if you have Shraddha, if you have Bhakti, you have Aradhya, you have direction, you have Nishtha in your Guru, in yourself, in somewhere, then the path is actually very simple. Some people say, I don't even know what sadhana is going on. Because the job of taking my sadhana ahead is not mine. It is the divine's work. I just have to do my duty. That state is there. Krishna goes on. He says, Arurukshor munir yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga rudhasya tasyaiva shamaha karanam uchyate. And for the ascending yogi, it is thus affirmed that action causes his ascent to be confirmed. For the yogi who is rising, how is he going to rise? Through his karma only, action will make him rise. And for he who has already ascended, self-mastery is the cause by which he has transcended. Again, how did the person reach that highest state? It is the self-mastery. It is the self-mastery and karma only which helped a person reach the zenith. The beginner also is walking ahead because of this only, because of the actions. The one who has reached, he has reached the top because of his self-mastery. He's called a Jitendra, the one who has overcome the pulls of the Indriyas. Our Anjaneya was also called Jitendra only. Jitendriyam buddhimatam varishtam. Wisest among the wise. The one who had controlled his Indriyas. Means all the Sakala Siddhis were great, of course, of Maruti. But the greatest of the Siddhis was this only. Because when he lost his Smriti by virtue of a Shrap, according to the story, how did he regain all of it? It was by becoming Jitendra. He did not need to use that Siddhi, they developed naturally. They developed naturally. We talked about Anulam Vilom. One yogi in the ashram of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry, one Maji was there. She was in her 80s. She had come to Damliji for learning at 80s also. She wants to learn what pranayam is. Of course, she has heard about it somewhere. But you see the bhava of a student. So she brought a pen and paper to note down. And she had joined the ashram after looking directly at the mother, meeting her and become a sadhak. So many years of sadhana. But with a pen and paper like a student, like a young girl. She came and she took them. She was taking notes. While Damniji talked about both nostrils getting active, she actually hit her head like this. अच्छा, मुझे लगा कोई गड़बड़ है. Because both her nostrils had already become active. She had not aspired for it. It was the Ashirvada of the divine. And that is what happens. But the aspect is the control of the Indriyas. That is the first thing. All siddhis will come at your feet if you want to. But don't run after siddhis because that is also running after, isn't it? That is also a desire you're running after. I want this. I want that. Instead, let the divine give what is required. I'll do what I need to do and make yourself deserving. Nobody can stop the force to flow into someone who deserves to receive it. It is as simple as that. Krishna goes on, such a person, he says, Yada hi nendriyartheshu na karma svanushajjate sarva sankalpa sanyasi yoga rudhas adochyate. In his mind too, all attachments he has denounced. When all the wills within are renounced, if he is bereft of desires towards all objects of sense, the zenith of yoga he has reached thence. Krishna says, in his mind also, means okay, I'm controlling myself. But man mein laddu phuta, this aspect happens or not. The mind is going, I am not going there. But mind is always traveling. That is not control. That's still, you have not transcended that yet. Maybe physically you have controlled yourself. But from inside also, that desire must disappear. They call it sublimation of the desire. That must take place. Because when that happens, I think even in the pure process of sublimation in physics, what is it? Anybody? It's a change of matter, isn't it? Material state from what is that change?
Solid to gas directly.
Direct, no? Solid to gas. Gayab. What was Pratyaksha, which was there suddenly? Jada, which was Sthula. Suddenly it has become Sukshma and disappeared. Well, that is what happens to desires also if you do it right. Otherwise, it is same process like ice becoming liquid. It is still there. Then again, it's solidifying. Then again, coming, going. Something keeps happening like that. And this is what Krishna says. This person in his mind, he has renounced. So, because of which all wills within are renounced. He is bereft of desires towards all objects of sense. Means even if somebody sits in front of that person and starts eating, this person will not feel that desire and that I have to eat. Because this is sometimes craving comes just by looking also, isn't it? It is like sometimes if you want to disturb a person, a speaker, just eat imli in front of that person. Unless that person is a yogi, you will see that person slowly his lips will also start quivering. Arey, what is this? Okay, I need to focus again on speech, but it's going to get distracted. So this aspect, even objects of senses are not awakening this person at all. That is the yogi. We will look at two more shlokas and we'll stop today. The shloka, next one it's like a riddle, but it is an answer to a lot of questions also. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva yatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanah. Looks like a tongue twister, but what is it? I'll repeat it once more. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva yatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanah. So Atma is the bandhu or friend of the Atma. And Atma is the Ripu or the enemy of the Atma. First is Atma is, we know Atma is the highest. Swatma Ramoham, I am that supreme, that realization is there. But now where is the friend? Where is the enemy? What is Krishna doing? Or is he using that typical strategy? If you can't convince, confuse. These people sometimes use. So is Krishna doing that? No, let us see. The self alone can set the self free if you allow it to unsuppressed be. For the self is the self's closest friend and also the worst nemesis that the self can portend. The self is the greatest friend of the self and the self is the greatest enemy of the self. The self can set the self free when you allow it to be free. Now, what is this riddle that Krishna is talking about? Anybody? Is it meaningful, or again and again Krishna has this habit of confusing Arjuna? Just when Arjuna comes to track, he gives one no. Yes, Karthik ji. Yes, sir.
I think it's just another way of explaining how controlling your
Yeah.
mind
Yeah.
helps in achieving the higher self.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So it is related to mind, is what Karthik ji is saying. That could be an answer. Renuji, yeah.
What I am getting through this, there is a lower self and the higher self.
Yeah. Okay.
So here Krishna is talking about when the lower self has that determination, that will, that aspiration, that the higher self, that is the Atman, gets liberated. You can set it free.
Okay. All right. So that is the lower self and the higher self. So when we connect with the higher self, we are free, and when we connect with the lower self, we are trapped, isn't it, Renuji? Is that?
Yes, when we connect with the higher self, we are free. Otherwise, we are there.
We are pulling ourselves down in
Yes.
consciousness, isn't it? All right. Okay. Fine. Anybody else would like to add to what Karthik ji and Renuji shared, and we'll then go ahead to the next shloka. Krishna is adding the, what we can say, resolution of that particular riddle as well. Anybody else, or do you agree with what Renuji and Karthik ji say? Yes.
I think it is
Sir,
also.
I have
Yeah. Sorry,
Yes.
Manisha, go ahead.
no. I'm sorry. Sir, I had a question. By self, I always understood that self is the divine himself. Self is always good. It is always positive. But here in this shloka,
Ah.
using the word self, uh, I understood it as divinity. But
Okay.
here,
It is
self
looking
can
different.
enemy. So this is I have this question. How
Paradox.
can
All right.
be an
We'll look at
enemy?
that question. Yes, we'll look at that question. Yes. After Chaitanya ji? Yes, please.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say is that if you follow and use the right aspects of what you have, or tools that you have, I can say, then it is like friendly. It helps you to advance. If you follow the wrong aspects of it, it is only going to take you to
Okay.
lower and lower consciousness.
So the biggest enemy is also inside. The biggest friend is also inside, isn't it? Yes. So, all right, Manisha ji. Yes, your question. So now this self, because self is an English word, isn't it? It is not the Sanskrit word. Krishna has used the word Atman. But now, how do we perceive this Atman? Means now when we cannot see, isn't it? If I cannot see something from far, I have myopia. What will I use? I will use glasses. Something like that. Now to understand the Atman, because Atman may be Niraguna, Nirakar or Saguna, Sakar. We do not know if this Atman is the Purushottama, or it is what we can say, it is the different Jivatman is separate from the Supreme Purusha, or all of that. These are aspects of the Vedantic world. Once we reach there, we can experience it, and then what we experience, we can realize. But when we grapple with these topics itself, what do we use primarily to understand something to our logic? What is it that we use? Like Upanetram is used for the eyes, or the spectacles are used to see. They become an instrument. So, what is that instrument that we use to perceive what is higher than the senses?
Manas Chakshu, the
Mana,
mind.
isn't it? The mind, isn't it? Mind. So now the mind is our medium or instrument for perceiving. So if we use the mind in a wrong manner, the mind becomes our enemy, isn't it? Yes. And that way now what has happened, if you associate that mind with the self, then that self and mind is that combination of self mind has become your enemy.
That means the Atman becomes our enemy.
Atman is not referring to the Purushottama, but when we are talking about here, the Atman is, if you say one way, Atman is only the enemy because this person went on the spiritual path, that was his problem. The spiritual path may not be the problem, but for him, because he has gone in a wrong manner, he has not understood the principle. He has interpreted according to his own wishes and whims, and he's following that path. For this person, it has become his enemy, isn't it, Manisha ji?
Yes.
The path is supposed to
Yes.
make you free and compassionate and understand. But this person has become cruel, this person has become heartless, this person has become hating of others, this person is not having anything, any of the indication. And what will you say as a third person from a third person's point of view? Say, "Arey, that path was his enemy only, the path that he took." But that doesn't make the destination the enemy or describe the path, but for that individual. So for that individual, this entire journey, we can say, because realization is a journey. That's a problem. When is it a friend? Because it can be both ways, is what Krishna is saying. There's a danger then, isn't it? It's not always a bed of roses. There are sadhana is there. Then, as Damliji had talked about a beautiful book, I think written by the Sarak MP Pandit, about pitfalls in sadhana. Means as you walk ahead, there are many pitfalls also. You can't blame the path completely or the destination for the pitfalls which you did not see. You fell into it. So many people could have avoided it. But what is it? Let us see. We will look at the next shloka. But I think Manishari, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. I
Yes.
mean, I understood the concept, but the only thing is, why
No,
did Krishna
the
use the word self?
Atman.
Because
No, Krishna
self
has
is
used the word
always,
Atman. An English person
huh,
has used self. I have written the word self.
okay,
But the word is Atman, isn't it? And which
Atman.
is what is, and sometimes in English we have trouble, isn't it? Finding words.
Yeah,
What word will we
yes,
use?
correct.
And
Yes.
sometimes some people say you must not use these words at all. These are untranslatable. But now Shraddha is Shraddha for somebody who understands. For someone who is not got an understanding, for him it can be love, it can become devotion, it can become so many other things. They may give an indication. But if the bhavartha, because if you go into the literally each shloka will means what is Brahma Nirvana? Krishna is talking about Brahma Nirvana. But Nirvana means extinction, dissolution, annihilation. What is the use for karma after nirvana? Or why will a yogi of nirvana, Munir Brahma who has achieved nirvana, do karma? But very next shloka, if you understand, you can understand the context. So sometimes the shlokas, instead of the literal sense, we have to look at the contextual meaning. The shlokas before, the shlokas after also grant us that light. So here in this context, it is that. Yes, Dr. Atulji is saying something. Yes, sir.
Suji, if we can understand the word Atma and Paramatma, it becomes
Ah,
easier to understand.
yes, yes, yes. So that Atma and Paramatma, it is going to raise. And if you go a little deeper also, there is no lower and higher also on the path. What is darkness also? Darkness is what absence of light. Sri Aurobindo in his Upanishad says it is light masking itself by its own shadow. That is darkness. There is a Devi called Sarama Devi in the Rig Veda. She is a goddess depicted as a female hound. What is her job? Her job is to go into the deepest cave of darkness in the subconscious. In those caves, and we can see with her teeth, she bites and brings out and summons light. So the Dvaita of the darkness and light also disappears. So here in the context, we can say, as Dr. Atulji said, or Karthik ji, Chaitanya ji, and Renu ji talked about, it is about when we have to identify when are we going to become our enemies and when are we going to become our friends. That does not mean I am physically my enemy, but by my nature, by my sanskara, by my vritti, by my habits, I sometimes become my own enemy. I don't need any other enemy on the outside. Big enemy is here only. I have to change that. And how will I change it? When I become friends with my best friend. Again, best friend is inside in the sense, this does not mean we are going to go and say, I want to go on a date with my own self, or I want to go have coffee with my friend like that. No, this is a different. Literally, we are not looking at. We are looking at the friend on the inside in the sense, the one inside us who can take us out, who can bring about the transformation. Valya's enemy was inside of him, isn't it? When he was the hunter, Ratnakar, teaching him to do that work, not allowing him, because everybody has an inner conscience. But that was suppressing our inner conscience, so he was his enemy. But when he found his friend, he became the revered Rishi Valmiki, Maharshi Valmiki. So that is the difference. Let us see what Krishna says, and then we'll stop with this shloka. Bandhuratma Bandhuratma manastasya yenai yen yenatmaivatmana jitah Anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. The self as a friend can be thus considered. When can the self be considered as a friend? When the lower self's pull has been conquered. When the lower self's pull has been conquered, that time the self can be considered as your friend. I think in children, when they have exams, friends come and call, isn't it? Come, let's go to play. Let's go out to play. And then the child is like, okay, I want to go play. I want to go play whatever game it is. Suddenly, some voice inside, no, I have to do my homework or I have an exam tomorrow. What happens then? Then you have got a friend inside, isn't it? Who's able to say no. For me, I failed only once in my life in one exam. That was my exam in my engineering. And that had to do something with my close friend. When I was young, also, even before board exams, he would come and he would call out my name. He would call me by my surname. And he would come at even 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. My father would think a ghost is coming because he had a very deep voice suddenly. And nobody called me by my surname. They would call my father by his surname in the hospital. So it looked like somebody is calling him. So this person kept calling me. And well, I did made the mistake of joining him in college before my exam. He said, hey, what? You will fail. You will not fail. You have never failed. What is the meaning? We'll go for a tea. What did I do? Chalo, theek hai, I want to test your bike. Come, let's go. Just for a small 5 minutes break of tea. And this person went on driving to a very far away tea stall. I lost 3 hours of precious time on the previous day of the exam and then ended up failing. So what has happened here? Was this a friend or was this the enemy? This was the enemy who was taking me away from. But he is my best friend. He continues to be my best friend now also. But at that time, listening to him, because I could not understand. So, like that, there are moments where we get pulls of Prakriti, pulls because of many factors. They pull us down. If you are able to overcome that pull, then you are having a friend sitting inside who is able to help you. That time, you can say the Atma is your friend. Your inner voice is your friend at that time. But sometimes the voice is not a friend, it is an enemy. And when is that? But when the higher self one does not know, then the self is the self's greatest foe. So we'll stop at this. When the person does not know that there is a higher self, then there is the biggest enemy. Many times, you see, we don't realize that there's divinity inside of us. And we feel कि नहीं मेरे अंदर कुछ नहीं है. Thoughts come like this. Nothing, there's nothing inside of me, or I'm useless, I'm incapable. So what is happening? Is it the friend that is speaking? No, it's the enemy who is telling you this is nothing, you are useless. Who is there in the world who can say a person is useless? There's nobody in the world who is useless, though we have got that sanskara in school only. My teacher, useless fellows. That is a dialogue which is always said again and again. It was, at least nowadays, at least that sanskara is not being put in. But because of that, we begin to feel about ourselves. Swami Vivekananda said that is the entire problem. People have been told you are not capable, you are not capable. That gets imprinted into their consciousness and they really start feeling they are not capable. The great Maharudra Hanuman also felt he was not capable, isn't it? And Jambon had to come and say, hey, you are not capable. Array, if you are not capable, who else will be capable? And then he remembers his strength. The smriti comes back. But this aspect is when we don't realize it, when we don't realize our capacity, when we realize there is no divinity, we feel there is no higher self inside of us. Even sometimes during meditation, we get bad thoughts. Means meditation is supposed to be the time for having good thoughts. Yes, I'll come to you in a moment. Ji. Meditation is for our good thoughts we should have. Badram karne bhir, let me hear good, let me see good. Correctly, that time we get thoughts, then sometimes we feel ashamed. And why are we ashamed? Because we've associated ourselves with those thoughts. We say, oh, I am such a bad person. No, you are not a bad person. Where has the thought come from? It's come from outside, isn't it? Your antenna is now tuned to a wrong frequency. Turn to the right frequency, you will receive the right thoughts. No, Bhadraha Kritavanto. Let all good thoughts come from everywhere. That is a beautiful shloka. The depth, the determination. So this aspect, when we don't realize that inside of us there is divinity, when we unnecessarily berate ourselves, when we suffer in what we can say diffidence for no reason, Like Arjuna, the hero, is already in depression because he is his biggest enemy right now, not Duryodhana. It is Arjuna that is his biggest enemy. And the fact that we feel sometimes there is no divinity inside of us, that is the time you should not listen. Say Katti to that friend. That is not your friend now. It's your foe. No friendship with such kind of thoughts or such negative aspects inside of us. Instead, try to focus on the higher. Yes, sir. Karthik ji is saying something? Yes, sir.
No, that last bit answered my question. My
Means like,
question was,
ah,
in this scenario,
hmm.
Arjuna is also having thoughts as to, just like the good thoughts as to why he should fight, why he should do these karmas and fight this war with his own family.
Yeah.
As so, he's torn between that particular decision.
Yes, but it is on
So
the pretext of good. If you look at it is emotions, isn't it? So they have scarred his thinking. And what happens is Arjuna's all arguments are not bad. But just like a lawyer who is fighting for a wrong case, even if his argument is not bad, we know it is on the wrong direction, isn't it?
correct,
He's a devil's advocate. He's not a God's advocate. Sometimes you don't need it. And most of the time we don't need that in our inside of us because we fill ourselves. And look at Arjuna, because if Arjuna is so, Krishna very nicely points out to Arjuna also. One side you're talking like a Pandit and speaking about samatha, you are seeing oneness. One of the simplest aspect of samatha is poise and balance. That balance is not inside of you. And where does it go? It goes into ultimate suicidal tendency, isn't it? This is I better be killed. So what has happened and where? So under the pretext, thoughts also enter, what we say Trojan horse, something like that. They enter inside in a different way under a pretext. But if you are not recognizing it and you are then allowing yourself to, go lower and lower. I mean, simple is recognize the divinity inside. There is a divinity inside of me. No matter what. It's once I fell down. What Bhagwan is there who's falling like this? If you ask yourself, you will say, what is this? Sharira is like this. Because natural life makes us question us only, no? We have limitations, no? Human nature, limitations of our physical, limitations of our mental, sometimes so many aspects, so many bandhanas, and we feel, I'm so useless, I'm so incapable. What can I do? But at that time, instead of asking Katham or how is divinity inside of me? Let us focus. And where is the focus? It is not again positive reinforcement. I am God. I am God. Tomorrow I'll start feeling I am God. I will try to stop a truck with my hand. And that truck will finish me and stop me only. Because that is not the opposite of. Instead of that, Krishna says a beautiful way. It is this wrong thoughts, no lower pull, you conquer that. That is enough. Means while you are doing dhyana, wrong thoughts are coming. Instead of trying to fight those thoughts, no, I'll have good thoughts. No, God is like this. God is useless. One thought has come from somewhere. No, God is useless. What's going to happen? You're going to have this tutu meme going on inside. Instead, don't associate with that thought at all. The thought will come, will rotate for some time and then disappear because no importance is being given to it. Instead, focus on your karma. That is why it is said, Mam Phaleshu Kadachanam Karmanyeva Adhikarastu, because karma is one way. Sometimes your wrong also can be purified. Knowledge will also purify. Karma will also purify. Bhakti will also purify. But our job is to prevent that lower pull. Whatever is lower. Means like Arjuna was thinking good, chalo theek hai, he's thinking good. But while thinking good, what has happened now? A descent. He's thinking for his family. All right. But he stopped thinking about his family and started thinking about himself, isn't it? He's talking about himself getting killed. What will happen to Abhimanyu? Is he caring about Draupadi? When he was alive, they had insulted Draupadi that way. After he's gone, what will they? So, where is he thinking about himself? No, he's only thinking about himself and he's not thinking about anybody else in the family. So, either you hold on to one aspect. So, hold on to that aspect. Chalo, there is a divine. Or this is something which we should not allow. So, all right, I think with this, let us conclude. Yeah, if somebody can give a summary, please. If somebody can summarize, we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra.
Shishiji? Yeah.
Yes, ji. Yes,
Yeah,
Gita.
today we started with the Dhyan technique. Shri Krishna explained the technique of Dhyan about concentrating between the center of your eyebrows and regulating your breathing, and we practiced that once. It is a way. So why do we do Dhyan? It is a way to connect to the higher consciousness and also, to attain some sort of Atma Shuddhi. That was the point that Shri Krishna was making, and yeah, he talked about yogi being unaffected by sensual things, anger, desire, and he also said that any sacrifices that you do, irrespective of to any form of mind you do, they again reach to me. That is what he emphasized again. So once you are in that state where you are actually devoting everything to the God, every work of it to the God, you also have that feeling of God being your friend, and I mean, you start connecting with it more rather than fighting with it. So yeah, then I think yeah, we talked about Sanyasi. That Sanyasi again doesn't stop performing his work. He will always keep doing his karma. It's that he will not get trapped in expectations. He transcends those desires and expectations, and that is what the main thing is. Then Sri Krishna also talked about controlling. When we talked about controlling things, it is not just about physically controlling it. You have to remove or transcend those things from through your mind as well. So it cannot happen that you are just suppressing your desire. You have to remove that desire from the root so that you are actually able to transcend and go ahead. Otherwise, what will happen is you will just keep fighting from within, even though from outside you may look like calm or not affected, but from within you will keep fighting. That bandha will be always there. So that is the important aspect. Then we saw about our mind being tool to perceive things, and if you use right aspects of it, it will be like your friend. If you use wrong aspects of it, it will be like your enemy. And that's where I think that I mean the pull of Prakriti. So we talked about inner self, whether it will be our friend or enemy. So if you are actually, if when there are pulls of Prakriti, at that time, if your inner self is actually telling you to do the right thing, and if you're actually reciprocating, listening to it and not discarding it, that acts as your friend. On the other hand, if you start thinking that there is nothing inside, it is, I mean, and you succumb to those pulls and you don't listen to it, then it kind of becomes enemy of it, because enemy of yours, because then you are already, instead of transcending desires and everything, you are actually ignoring what is being told from within. So yeah, that was the
Ji.
aspect.
All right. Thank you very much, Chaitanya ji. And when you were saying something, one interesting connection came. Last adhyaya, it concluded, isn't it, with the message of when you realize that the divine is your friend.
Yeah.
So अगर भगवान को मित्र बना दिया तो शैतान बाल भी बांका नहीं कर पाएगा, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So that is one thing. Let him be your friend. Let that Maitri Bhava be an association, an easy association to always remain in higher consciousness. That is one thing which Krishna has again and again implied in different parts. So let us conclude with Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्ण वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम जय श्री